SoFloRadio.com presents CEOmanship, becoming a leader in today's business world with your host, Steve Gordon, CEO of Gordon Partnership Group, an international business consulting firm specializing in CEO bootcamp, sales team training, as well as client growth and retention. Visit us at GordonPartnership.com. At Gordon Partnership Group, your success is our business. And now, here's your host, Steve Gordon.
Wow, here we are. It's another Monday. Mark Anoff to my right, for those of you watching on the live video feed. Mark is a social media expert. He's on your left. On my left, for those watching on the live video stream, my producer, good friend, and sometimes actually funny guy.
Party partner. We get drunk, puke on each other's shoes, that kind of thing. Get arrested.
I'd like my listening audience to know that none of that part is true.
No? Oh,
including the part about you being funny.
Tell me what we're allowed to talk about on the air.
Well, I'm going to ask you some questions
before the show.
But let me tell everybody kind of who we are and what we're doing. So my name is Steve Gordon, and I am the CEO of the Gordon Partnership Group, and this is the show called CEOmanship on SoFloRadio.com, and this is a show for business owners and CEOs, and I want you to make sure you don't forget to visit CEOmanship.com after today's show, and you can download a copy of today's episode, or you can watch and or listen to past shows in our archive section. Of course, please go to the iTunes podcast library and subscribe to CEOmanship so that you never, ever miss an episode. The greatest thing about podcasts is they just automatically arrive right on your iPhone, your iPad, your
right. Kind of like healthy food if you should decide to.
You're a week off on our
well,
show. But last week we did talk to Rod Smith.
Right, that's called a callback. I'm referring back to last week's show.
Well, so last week...
Wearing the same shirt I wore last week. I just want to mention that.
So our
well, that's your Lucky Monday shirt, isn't it?
It is my Lucky Monday shirt. It's black. It goes with everything.
Why do I feel like I'm losing control of the show already? All right, so anyway, don't forget to go to the go to iTunes and subscribe to the CEOmanship podcast. What George was referring to is last week we had Rod Smith, CEO of GreenPolkaDotBox.com, a company that delivers wholesome, fresh, unbelievable, no GMO foods right to your front door, free shipping, and Rod was a great guest. So if you missed last week's show, please go back to our archives and listen. I want you to know I love podcasts because I do get up every morning. I ride my bike. I live on the beach. Up in Jupiter, Florida, and I love to listen to podcasts that I subscribe to while I ride and get my day started.
How do you listen to them? I mean, is it like a radio or?
It's headphones.
It's your magical phone.
What happened to social media expert? I'm assuming you understood this stuff.
Well, I may understand it, but does the audience really understand
Yes, I believe that my audience of business owners and CEOs understands that podcasts are audio downloads or video downloads that come right to your iPhone or other telephonic device or desktop or iPad, etc. Anyway, again, we've had constantly getting emails and letters from guests and listeners asking how they can book either myself or someone from Gordon Partnership to come to speak to their corporate their corporation or to maybe their employees, their sales team for some training, or even maybe a keynote address. And so just send an email to me, Steve at Gordon Partnership, GORDON, GordonPartnership.com, and we'll get back to you. Or you can visit us on GordonPartnership.com and complete the Contact Us form. We'll get back to you within 24 hours. Of course, you can find us on Facebook at Gordon Partnership. For a little bit of fun, you can go to Facebook and then search for Follow Steve Gordon. On Twitter, it's Follow Steve Gord. There's no O-N because Twitter only allows so many characters in your name. Instagram, it's Gordon Partnership. LinkedIn, just search for Steve Gordon, GORDON, and Gordon Partnership. And again, on the iTunes podcast library, it's CEOmanship, and of course, our website, GordonPartnership.com. Today's show is sponsored in part by two great companies. The first is GrapesWine.com. GrapesWine.com is an amazing company. They source wines. Mark, check this out. They source wines from all over the world, from vineyards from all over the world, and they then assign to you a wine advisor.
A wine advisor. So a wine advisor could help me find my Pinot de Grigio.
Now you're trying too hard. So for a couple of weeks ago, as a little bit of a faux pas, not to be confused with foie gras, Mark said Pinot de Grigio, but so we had a little fun with him, and so now he's having fun with me. But yes, your wine advisor calls you up and they say, Hey, George, we know that you love a certain type of wine. We know your palate and your
I
price
do.
point.
They'd be embarrassed by my palate.
Well, that's a whole different discussion, and we're not talking about the dental situation. But they understand your palate, what kind of wines you like, and the price point that you like to spend. And they call you up and they say, you know what, George, we've sourced out from an unbelievable vineyard a great wine that we know you'll love, and we'll ship it to you. And if, by the way, you don't love what we send you, we'll take it back and we'll swap it out for something.
Really? So if it doesn't go with Huffing Sterno, because I want to pair wine with Huffing Sterno, they'll send it right back. And
what is a Huffing Sterno?
That's when you were little, didn't you? You know those in Boy Scouts and everything. They get the liquid, the canned heat
Are
and
you
everything.
referring to huffing as in sniffing?
Yeah. It was a huffing.
That's
right
a
there.
bad
So
sniff.
guys,
Yeah.
all right, let's remember that we are a business show, and
But
Any-
I have a serious question as to the wines because
go ahead.
I find that I happen to like an Australian sweet wine,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't find it anywhere. I found it one time, so they could sort of search it
Just
out.
tell your wine advisor what you like. If you go to a restaurant and you have a wine or a friend's house, you can take a picture or write down the name. They'll source it for you. They'll send you the case. It'll be at your house. Here in Florida, I get my package in about 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, that's great.
And what is a case like 6 bottles or
A case is 12 bottles.
12
Mark.
bottles.
So you are a wine aficionado. I can see that.
I'm
working
not.
on you.
I'm
working
not,
on you.
really.
Anyway, so grapes wine, great opportunity. I'll tell you that I was given the task by my sister-in-law of being the wine aficionado for Thanksgiving. And so I texted my sister-in-law, Irene. I said, okay, how many people and what are we having besides turkey, obviously? And then I called my wine advisor. I said, here's a heads up. We got 22 people coming. I'll need several cases. Let's mix it up. I need a red, I need a white, and I need a sweet dessert wine. And we'll put that case together. Our other sponsor for today is the Homeowners Network. So as I said with George last week, Mark, play along with me. Let's just pretend the answer to everything I'm going to ask you is yes. Can you get that?
Yes.
That's a
Okay, good.
scary proposition. When
Well,
someone says
yeah, that's a bad question to answer before I ask the question, but let's assume that it's going to be safe. So imagine that you get paid for something you're going to do anyway. Let me explain. So you own a home, right?
Yes.
Perfect. You did that really well. And do you think that someday you or your estate, but somebody will sell that home?
Yes.
Perfect. 2 for 2. All right. So you live here in Florida. Which county do you live in?
I live in Broward County.
Broward County. Okay. So do you think you're more likely to use a real estate professional, a broker from Broward County, or maybe pick someone from like Tennessee?
I think I'd use somebody from Broward County.
It makes sense. You'll use a local broker. They have all the local market knowledge, potential buyers. So here's the deal. What if I told you that based upon the value, the current value of your home right now, that you're guaranteed to get paid anywhere between $300 and up to $10,000 now and over the next several years? And you're probably thinking, oh, come on, Steve, what's the catch? And I'm going to tell you there's no catch, Mark. Here's how the program works. And by the way, as the homeowner, you don't pay these guys a penny, nothing, not a zilch, nothing, all right? Here's how it works. In real estate, the broker, which is the person who owns the real estate firm, they're allowed to refer a client to another broker. This could happen because maybe you're moving out of state, right? And let's say I'm a broker and you want to move to New York. Well, I don't have the ability to sell you a home up there. I might not be licensed. I might not know the people. I pick up the phone. I call my buddy who's a broker in New York. I go, hey, listen, my friend Mark's coming up. Take care of him, find him a house. Well, my friend would never have known you if I didn't send you, right?
That is true.
That is correct, or
That
true,
is correct.
but it cannot be true. It's one or the other. So what happens is this. When you finally buy or sell that home, my friend is going to share his commission with me because I sent you to him. It's called a commission split. So the amazingly smart folks at the Homeowners Network decided to put together one, if not the largest, broker-to-broker referral networks in the United States of America. And all they say is this, Mark, if, keyword if, and when you're ready to sell your home and you're under no obligation to do so, just use a broker from their network, which is just about every broker in Broward County right now, and there are more being added. And they will pay you now up front and over the next several years up to $10,000 that you can spend however you want. It's yours.
Really?
And if you don't sell the home, then that's fine. But
Wow.
we know statistically you probably will. So since you're going to sell your home, and you said you'd do that anyway someday, and you said you'd use a broker from your local community, why not join? It's free, and just take the money. So to sign up at no cost and register, visit homeownersnetwork.us. That's not a com. That's homeownersnetwork.us. Take a look, see what your home qualifies for. It doesn't cost you a penny, and you will be spending some money that you didn't have very, very soon. So I am real excited to start our show today with our guest. But before we go to our guest, George, you have an interesting life.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
I didn't plan it that way. It just it happened.
So a couple weeks back, you started to tell our audience, or tell me, that you went to a rave.
Yes, that was 2 weeks ago.
Asked you
A rave-like event. They just call them parties anymore. But the rave has a negative connotation.
Yes,
associated to it.
All those crazy kids and
yeah, that's not the negative part. It's just sometimes there's sterno.
Okay. So all right. So you went to a rave.
Yeah, I do that.
And so while the other kids were doing other fun things, you were drinking Geritol.
Exactly. Well, I drink Ensure. They have it at the bar there, Revolution. It's very nice. They have Ensure and vodka now at Revolution because they see the clientele getting a little bit older and they don't want to lose that money. And so I think it's very nice of them.
Just in terms of keeping things moving forward. And then we had Halloween a couple weeks back.
Sure.
And you were chill on that.
Did I dress up? The family thing. I did. I dressed up like original character Skeleton. Skeleton is a generic party-going cliche skeleton guy from the 21st century.
So I see we have a caller calling in. If you could pick it up and just let that caller hang on for 1 second. So caller, hold on for 1 minute. We're almost there. And then this past weekend, you went to a roller derby event.
Well, it was a birthday party a dual birthday party for two of the roller derby girls, specifically Suki Skankhouse and Reverse Cowgirl. Those are their roller derby names.
Gosh. You know what?
Those are their birthdays.
I'm the host of this show, and
It's actually the cleverest. All the derby girl names are in that vein. They're fun. But she writes the word cowgirl in backwards on her. That's the whole concept there. And they had a dance off because they're both very good dancers, and both with and without the pole.
All right. So
and that's
wow.
Okay. I don't want to say who won because
I don't. No.
It's an argument.
We'll talk about that later. So you know what? A couple weeks back, we had a guest come on. His name is Joel Eisenberg, and Joel is involved in a crowdfunding program for a book that he wrote. Joel, are you with us?
I'm here. How you doing, Steve?
I'm great, and I know that you only have a quick moment, and that's fine. Thank you so much for calling in. I know that the book is called Musical Beds. It's a children's book, right? It's about. Did I get that right?
It's a children's book. And I illustrated it. I wrote it. It's nice to have a book to read to your children at night that's clean and wholesome and, has some nice family values. And you know what? I just enjoyed doing it.
Thank goodness you brought back family values because this show is tanking really fast, thanks to George.
The world is scary.
Yeah, it was a little scary. So I appreciate that. So I know a lot of my listeners have emailed me. They've contacted me through LinkedIn and Facebook, and they've said, how can they help you to continue? Have you reached your goal? Are you still working on that? Can they contribute?
I'm still working on it. It is right now. There's an Indiegogo. It's INDIEGOGO.com. It's a crowdsource funding site, and when you go on it, you can search for musical beds, and if you do a search for it, you'll come up with it. And if let's say you did a contribution of say $35, you get an ebook, in color, and it's kind of nice, and you see all the things. You could do a hardcover, a soft cover. You could just, make a contribution. And if you're not in that type, if you're not in that position to do so, just sharing links would help a tremendous amount. I've been very fortunate. I've had over, 400 people, or just about 400 people, share my links just recently, which is, a nice testament to just friends. And it's catching up a little bit, and it's catching fire, and that's the way you got to do it.
Really proud of you. And again, the idea of musical beds is I guess the concept is that you're chasing your kids around the house. They're like, Daddy, one more story. Daddy, I don't want to go to bed yet.
You remember those days, huh?
Exactly. So So
Everybody has the same experiences, whether, when you say, okay, it's time to go to sleep, and they say, no, one more cartoon, please.
there you go. Well, Joel, we wish you continued success. And again, it's
Thank
on
you, sir.
Indiegogo, and they can also find, I think you have a Facebook page, Musical Beds, correct?
I do on Facebook. I think if they ran a search on musical beds, it would come up, or even under children's books, I think that it would pop up. And, as far as anybody's business, I know you do a great show on being a CEO. Any business can do these type of things. It's just a matter of marketing it first. And then once you do the marketing, sometimes it'll fall into place. Not always, but you do your best to try so.
Well, we again wish you continued success. We're proud of you here at the show, and please call in any week and give us continued updates. We want to follow your success, and I know that you're inspiring others, whether it's to write a book or just to try to go after that crowdfunding. And so thank you for being a great example of CEOmanship.
Thank you, sir, and I appreciate you having me on the show.
Have a great day. We'll look forward to hearing from you again soon. I have with me, Mark and George, on today's show, one of really, I think, just one of the smartest, really most driven, and truly nicest guys I know. I've had the privilege of knowing this gentleman for just a few years, and I would say that there are certain people in your life when they cross your path, they make an impression on you immediately. And when I met this young man, and I say young because he's younger than I am, he had that impact. It was one of those wow moments. His name is Curtis Lewsey, and Curtis, can you hear us? Are you with us now?
Sure can, brother. Yep, I'm here.
Curtis, thank you for taking some time out of your extremely busy day. You are a brilliant, and I don't say that lightly, entrepreneur. What I wanted to do is this. You've had so many things go on in your life and so many different businesses that you're involved in. It helps my audience, our audience, to know a little bit about who you are, because everybody can relate to somebody. And so you grew up, from what I recall, in upstate New York, correct?
That's right.
Where was that?
Greenwich, New York, up near Saratoga Springs.
So unlike here in South Florida, it probably is a little bit colder right now.
Yes.
And currently you reside in Connecticut.
That's right.
And tell me a little bit about your youth growing up, your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, I grew up in Greenwich. An entrepreneur in my neighborhood is a farmer. I mean, I wasn't surrounded by entrepreneurs, wasn't surrounded by anybody who owned their own business. Went away to college in 2001, got recruited to play baseball at Sacred Heart University here in Fairfield, Connecticut. Came down, and my junior year of college, I'm an RA on campus, so I was helping with the residence halls to be able to have my room and board paid for. I was also a full-time student, obviously, a Division I baseball player, playing shortstop for the Pioneers, and worked as many of the events as I possibly could. And my junior year of college, I got involved with a network marketing company, was able to pay my last 3 semesters of college while doing that business. It allowed me to work around my hectic schedule, which was great. And I mean, I didn't have any preconceived notions on what it was or what it was not. All I knew was I surrounded myself with some amazing people and was introduced to the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which really changed the course of the direction of my life, understanding the cash flow quadrant and all that. I think a lot of people out there have a similar story to that of a book that they read or somebody that they met. I met a gentleman by the name of Tommy Wyatt, who was my mentor. Right out of college, I went into work in the sales force. I wanted to get a job, and I, because in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad told me to work for Xerox, not for the money but for the training. That's what I did. I was looking for a job that had high quality training. I could go in there and make a name for myself. I did that with a company called Cintas Corporation. I sold really sexy products like toilet paper and air fresheners and soaps and floor mats, and was very successful with that. And 23 years old, was able to earn a 6-figure income right out of college. quit my job at the age of 23 to pursue a different MLM company, and then built that for about 6 or 7 years. In just about 6 months, I launched my own business.
Hold that thought, because you have touched on several things that I want to cover in today's show, and I don't want to gloss over any of them. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit, if I can, and then we will fill in the dots on pretty much everything you just touched based on. Is that all right with you?
That is fantastic. No problem.
Great. So all right. So on your website, I was looking the other day, and I was actually going to quote you, but you already quoted yourself. And the website is Curtis Lewsey, but Lewsey is it's CurtisLewsey.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right, CurtisLewsey.com. You mentioned right on the website that growing up, entrepreneur in your town was someone who was a cow farmer, which made me chuckle so much that I actually put it on my notes, and I'm so glad you actually wrote that or mentioned that a few minutes ago. So what about your upbringing? Your parents, were they business owners, entrepreneurs? What was your experience as a child?
No, they're just wonderful, extremely supportive. Anything that I wanted to do, I really grew up just loving sports and playing and outside all the time. So I was not. I guess my great grandfather or my grandfather was a carpenter, and he owned his own business, but I never got a chance to meet him. So, but yeah, I mean that was my. I didn't really understand and even hear the word entrepreneur until I was in college.
It's really interesting. Two things. Last week, Rod Smith, the owner and CEO and founder of Green Polka Dot Box, mentioned that he too started out as an entrepreneur early on and made his first six-figure income at the age of 23. It's ironic that you both mentioned that, and you're both very, very successful. So, you said two things that really hit home with me. The first was, I said about your parents, the entrepreneurs. You said no, but they were very loving and supportive. And I can't tell you how many times I hear that when I'm interviewing business owners, CEOs, top sales professionals, that support, whether it comes from a mother and father or a spouse. It's so important that you're in an environment where somebody is saying to water you, so to say to you, you can do it. You can do it. And in fact, one of the things I want to talk about, speaking of you can do it, and I don't want to go there right this second, is a project, sort of a bucket list project that you and I talked about. We were sitting in my house in Connecticut, so I don't want to forget about that. But I'm going to tease my audience and talk about that in a little while. But it has a lot to do with the you can do it. So let us not forget to talk about that in a little bit. So the other thing is sports. I believe personally, I am an avid ice hockey player. You were an avid baseball player. You played in college. I played in college. I believe that sports, even if you're not the greatest athlete in the world, I believe that there is so much to being involved in sports. It keeps you out of trouble, but I believe it also gives you goals. It gives you part of the ability to be part of a team. It teaches you how to be coached and how to lead. And there's so many tie-ins between sports and being successful in life. Do you feel like your baseball career had an impact on your ability to be the entrepreneur and the business professional that you are today?
Absolutely, tremendously. And the reason is because of the mentorship, the accountability, the people that I surrounded myself with. I was very fortunate to have wonderful coaches and be able to travel around the country and play on summer baseball teams and really open my eye. Because when I'm 15 years old and there was a Tampa Bay Rays, at the time Devil Rays, scout at the game, and his son happened to be the same age as me, and he coached a very elite summer baseball program that traveled all around the United States, and he saw me play, and he invited me to come on his team that he coached over the summer. And really what it taught me is that I have to step up my game, because there's only a couple of things that we can really control in our life. And one is our thoughts, what we think, and then the other is our effort, the effort that we put out there. So when I'm traveling around the country and I'm looking at these ball players, there's a lot of people out there with a tremendous amount more raw talent than me. I just worked harder than a lot of other people, so I was able to compete and play at the level that I did. And, I want to just touch on that point right now because of your show and CEOmanship and what you personally do, Steve, with your clients and how you work with them. Because, see, anybody that's out there listening to this show right now, it's so easy just to get caught up in the rigors and everything that's happening in your routine of your life and your business and everything. And what we really need is to have that accountability that you provide, Steve, and to be able to have that direction and to be able to be challenged. And see, that's what coaches was able to do for me, is they challenged me all the way up through. And transitioning into the corporate world or into your own personal business, I think it's so important to have that person that challenges you, that wants you to take that next step and to be mentored and to be able to grow personally as well as professionally.
You mentioned Robert Kiyosaki early on. Did you have any other mentors, business mentors or life mentors growing up and throughout your college years?
Well, growing up, I had mainly coaches, I would have to say, and then going into college, I mean, it was really Tony Robbins was a big, huge impact on my life. Listening to Get the Edge and going to the Unleash the Power Within event, just being able to grasp some of his philosophies and principles in life and how and applying them. So Tony Robbins was really big. And I mean, the three books that's helped me along the way the most. The first one was, of course, I mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad, because I never even read a book. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say, until in high school, I got by reading Cliff Notes and doing whatever I had to do to get through. I was intelligent. I just didn't want to do the work that was required in some cases. I was able to get a scholarship in college and do very well there. But when you read it and it's applying to your life and has a direct benefit, it's such a different way to absorb the information. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was one, and then Think and Grow Rich. And then the latest one that I read a little over a year ago was Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco. And that just really challenged me at a whole nother level. Equal to what Rich Dad Poor Dad did for me when I was 20 years old is what Millionaire Fastlane did when I was 10 years later, when I was 30 years old.
It's interesting because when you and I were sitting in my living room back in Connecticut, and we were talking business and just kind of catching up, and I had just finished reading something, and I said to you, Curtis, can you recommend one book for me? I'm going on a trip, and I want to take a book with me to read. You said Millionaire Fastlane, and I purchased that book the minute I could. I believe I downloaded it, and in fact, I think it's on my iPad that's sitting right in front of me here in the studio. And I have to tell you that for anybody listening, watching to right now with Curtis and I, or whenever you download this, if you're in the future listening and getting it off of iTunes, I will tell you that book was phenomenal. It's one of the greatest books I've ever read, and it was everything you told me it was going to be, and then some. And I think that it's a must-read for anybody who is a business owner, top sales producer, somebody who aspires to be successful, or just somebody who wants their serious reality check on where things are in life today in terms of business and what they could be if you decide to make some small changes. I'll give you one more, actually, and that's, I enjoyed reading The 4-Hour Workweek. Yep. Really a creative book, and it talks about sort of outsourcing your time and how to be able to run your life and your business by offloading, so to say, those tasks that you don't have to do yourself. And so many times, you talked about my clients, I meet a lot of business owners that are small business owners. They might own a company, $1 million, $2 million, $10 million a year, and they are chief cook and bottle washer. They're HR. They hire people. They train. They do inventory. They run QuickBooks. They write the checks. They print the checks. They run to Costco when they need more coffee, and they just don't have that ability to let go. And when you ask them why not, they say, well, I've always done it this way. And the truth is, they feel nobody can do it better than them. But the reality is, and I know that you agree with this, is that if you really want to be successful and grow your business to numbers well beyond where you think you are today, one of the first things you need to do is to allow other people to take over those tasks that are holding you back. I mean, the reality is, I always tell people, if I can make $100 an hour and it costs me $50 to hire somebody to do the task to free up my hour, then that's a really good decision, don't you think?
Absolutely.
So here's our situation. We are at half break. I have a lot to cover. You're an unbelievably great guy and a great guest.
Is like God. Like, you're looking at them like, oh my gosh, like they are so big. They're so good. They're so talented. And I never forgot that. And it resonated so much with me that I really went through my whole high school career thinking back of how important that was for those kids that were speaking about those important topics and how to live your life. And so what my vision is, and I've been able to sponsor kids to go back to that same camp, and I've been able to write some checks, and it really makes me feel, it's a whole nother feeling. I feel so good to be able to give that experience, and the handwritten letters that I've gotten from these kids that I've never even met, because I called that coach who got me the scholarship, and I ask him every year, well, for several years, and I've sponsored some other kids in the area here in Connecticut, to pick the kids. And I get a message back saying that my husband lost his job. He had a brain hemorrhage, and he's the breadwinner of the house, and my kid is an exceptional lacrosse player and such a great kid in school. He excels in the classroom and on the field, and we want to send him off to lacrosse camp. So I'd send him to Syracuse or basketball or baseball, or it doesn't matter. And we did it. And so my vision is to start a program in a high school setting where I'm going to take the model citizens of the community that excel in the classroom, they excel on the court. I don't care if it's in the swimming pool, if it's in band or chorus or whatever, extracurricular activities, and they excel in the classroom as well. I want to be able to put together, and I will, a program that is not, it's a process. It's not like an event where you just go down to the middle school and you do one presentation and you're good for the year. I wanted this to be on a weekly basis and have it be a program. So it's a train the trainer type of program. We put together a course. We train the high schoolers that it's an application process. They get accepted and they get paid to do this. They actually legitimately get paid, and we're going to teach them about finances, the world, the business world, whatever it is that they're the most passionate about, to be able to teach them about becoming the leaders of tomorrow. And then I expect that those kids, when they come back from college, to be able to help teach the high school students to then teach the middle school students. So it's a revolving door. And I believe that once we get it up and running, the corporate sponsorships in the local communities will take it and run with it. And I want to set up chapters all over the United States and to be able to grow that. And it's something that hit home with me when I was 12 years old, and I want to give back. And I feel that that's something that I really want to do. So I will make it happen. In the next couple of years, I'll be starting the nonprofit.
I think it's, number one, admirable that you want to give back. Number two, we talk about mentors all the time. I don't know how many people listening today caught the fact that you not only mentioned a teacher, but you mentioned the name Mr. Medici. And, teachers and coaches have such an impact on our life that here you are well over a decade later, and Mr. Medici rolled off your tongue like it was no big deal. And that's because this gentleman changed your life probably, forever. And not only did he change your life, but because of the whole pay it forward theory, he will have indirectly changed the lives of hundreds, if not thousands of other people, because he gave you the impetus to want to do something for children in your community. We have about 6 or 7 minutes left, and I want to really talk about a couple of things. You wrote a book on appreciation marketing, how to achieve greatness through gratitude. And now you have a program that you're putting together on a similar topic. And I know our audience would love to know two things, maybe several things, but certainly, number one, what is appreciation marketing? And number two, what is it that you are doing or that you can tell us you're doing right now with regard to appreciation marketing and gratitude, et cetera?
Absolutely. Well, in 2009, my business partner, Tommy Wyatt, and I released the book, Appreciation Marketing, How to Achieve Greatness Through Gratitude. It was an Amazon #1 national bestseller. And we did presentations all over North America. I even spent 6 months over in Australia doing some touring down there. And what I found wherever I speak in the world on the topic of appreciation marketing, it's really interesting because it's all common sense wherever you go in the world. The challenge is it's not common practice. People don't do this kind of stuff, and it really is a competitive advantage in the marketplace to say thank you and to really appreciate people at another whole level. So we teach a lot of strategies. We have philosophies and principles that are in the book. A lot of them we already know. We need to be reminded of this kind of stuff. So back a few years ago, we realized there was a flaw in the book. And the flaw is that if you don't have a system to drive the strategy, then the strategies that you talk about fall on deaf ears. So we need to put together a powerful system to execute the strategies that we talk about in the book. And what better way to be able to show appreciation and gratitude than a personalized greeting card sent via the post office? So I designed my own greeting card system, and appreciationmarketing.com, we have a free ebook on there that people can go ahead and subscribe and get the free ebook. We are on the book is on iTunes, Audible. We are on Kindle. We are on Amazon. So we have all different platforms to be able to get the book. It makes it very convenient and you can find it on appreciationmarketing.com. But what I wanted to do is I created a system for the busy business person, the person that's very busy and that needs to be able to follow up. So it's a simple system. You can, on the website, you'll see that it says AM cards. It's for appreciation marketing. And it's a mobile first platform built to be able to, you could take a picture with your phone, or you can go ahead and find a card that's in our system. It's built across all devices. And you can write your message with a scribe on an iPad right inside the greeting card, put an address in, upload your own pictures, whatever you want to do to customize it. Change the back of the card, put your own logo, your own URL to personally brand it yourself. Click send, and my company will personally print that greeting card out, put it in an envelope, put a real stamp on it, and mail it out the next business day for $1.26 plus a stamp for a member. And we're launching it this fall. Right now we're in beta testing. It is running absolutely phenomenal. And I will be launching it full bore in January. But, we're doing a lot of speaking engagements and a lot of appreciation marketing workshops. And then in the back end, we have this system that we have personal guarantees and all kinds of great stuff because the bottom line works. And people appreciate this stuff, and customers appreciate this stuff. And the reason why there's a statistic done a while ago, and it's upwards of 70% of the reason why a customer leaves is perceived indifference. They don't really think that you care. So if you show them that you care and you do appreciate them, it becomes a different relationship. And that's what we intend to help people. So it's not the plumber, it's my plumber. It's not the realtor, it's my realtor. And how do we get that relationship so you get retention, but not only retention, but the lifeblood of all businesses, and that's referrals. How do we get more of them?
I am an absolute firm believer in a handwritten note. I love what you do because I admittedly don't have the best handwriting. And I'm also very, very busy. But there's nothing more impressive in the world, I believe, in terms of business, than getting a handwritten note, a custom note from somebody. Not an email, not a text. That just shows that they're just fodder. One more cow in on the farm, so to say. They're just not. They're not important. If you can't take a few minutes out to thank somebody for what they've done, then you're right. They feel like they're just somebody else in your group of people, and that they're not special. And people want to be treated special, especially today in an environment where nobody really goes out of their way. Service is a dying industry, or certainly something that's just hard to find. And when you do find somebody who gives you great service, you're almost so surprised. You think, what are they doing here in this store, in this business? Because they should be somewhere else. They're so good. So you mentioned that you've been traveling. You're doing some workshops. We're coming down to just a couple minutes left. But do you have any workshops coming up right now that somebody listening anywhere in the world, because we do stream live audio and video on SoFloRadio.com, can they see you anywhere in the near future?
We'll be doing some webinar stuff, but most of the things that I do is in-house, and I go to sales teams, I go to companies and run appreciation marketing workshops in-house for their sales reps, whether it's real estate, mortgage, insurance, financial offices. There's just a wide variety that I work with. So, that's kind of what I'm doing right now, a lot in the Northeast. However, I will be doing some webinars, and I'll let you know when we do our next one. We don't have a scheduled webinar right now because I've been doing them live, but when I do, I will let you know for sure.
And again, if somebody goes to appreciationmarketing.com, they can sign up for your free ebook, and then of course they'll receive that information themselves directly from you.
Yeah, that's correct. Absolutely.
Right,
and they can go check that out. Definitely watch the video that's on there. In less than 2 minutes, we'll really sum up in a great way what appreciation marketing is all about. We blog about one to two times a week. So check that out if you'd like. But definitely download that book. It's called Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, Who's the Problem After All? And it's part of the chapter 4 of our book, which is the 7 deadly creatures to avoid becoming.
Yes.
And I think you'll appreciate that chapter for sure.
Well, I've read the book. I own a copy, and I would be holding it up for our audience right now, but I'm in the middle of a move, so most of my stuff, unfortunately, is in storage along with your book, because that's something I'll always have in my office, because it is a great read, and it really was eye-opening. And so, thank you for writing it, and you and Tommy, and thank you for being such great business leaders. I absolutely encourage all of our business owners, our CEOs. What a great idea to have Curtis and his team come to your company to speak to you either by webinar, by phone, or in person, and to teach your team how they can participate in the appreciation marketing program. $1.26 plus a stamp. You can't buy a card at your local Hallmark or CVS for anywhere near $1.26. So to have a custom card and you're going to put the stamp on it anyway. What a great idea.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's pretty powerful. But the personal branding aspect and it's kind of bringing the high touch with the high tech world and blending the two, because we're such a fast-paced, technologically driven world, and it's nice to be able to take a couple of seconds, step back, and appreciate somebody, and be able to do it at the comforts of your own home without having to run out to the grocery store and personally customize it. So the stories that are coming in are fantastic that I'm hearing about. So it's a lot of fun, and it just drives me to help more people.
Well, Curtis, thank you so much. I hope you'll come back and give us an update on the success when you fully launch out of beta into full launch. That's Curtis Lewsey, CurtisLewsey.com, and appreciationmarketing.com. Curtis Lewsey, you've been a great guest. Thank you so much for everything you've done and for what you do with the youth and what you are doing for business owners everywhere. My name is Steve Gordon. I am the CEO of Gordon Partnership Group. That's GordonPartnership.com. You can find me on Facebook at Facebook.com/Gordon Partnership. On Twitter, follow Steve Gord. There's no O-N on follow Steve Gord. That's just on Twitter. Instagram, it's Gordon Partnership. LinkedIn, just search for me, Steve Gordon, Gordon, and add that keyword, Gordon Partnership. Obviously, we would love you to visit our website, GordonPartnership.com. Give us a comment. Follow up with us. Let us know what you want to hear on future shows. And we are always looking for sponsors. We would love to speak to your group. And please subscribe to us on the iTunes podcast library at CEOmanship, the keyword on the iTunes podcast library. Thank you so much. Another Monday, another week. We'll be back next week. Steve Gordon on SoFloRadio.com.
Listening to